Welcome to the Alphagenix Podcast, where every week we talk to incredible guests from around the world of biohacking, well-being, men's health, and more. Here's your host, co-founder of Alphagenix, Tomkins.
Well, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome today's guest, Thomas Godfrey. Thomas, we met on LinkedIn over one of the comments, I think, that one of us had made. But for anyone who hasn't met you before, who is Thomas Godfrey? What's your journey been like, and how did we end up here today?
Yeah, thanks, Ross. First of all, thanks a lot for having me. It's great to see you. Great to be here. We did meet over LinkedIn in the comments. So I'm a mindset coach and recently an author. And in terms of my journey, I was a corporate guy. I was a career employee for many years, 25 years, until a few years ago. I started to do a bit of reflecting and made my own shift out of the corporate world and into coaching. And I launched my mindset coaching practice, and now I've developed Shift, the mindset method, which is the journey that I take my clients through.
Brilliant. What was the catalyst for your own mindset shift? Where you were sitting there one day behind a desk working with somebody else, and then something must have happened?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's quite difficult. It's quite difficult to kind of pin this one down. I'd say it was a culmination over a long period of time. And also I'd say I'm still kind of learning how to tell this story and how to kind of understand. It's a constant journey. But I think the best way that I can describe it is I'd got out of alignment really with myself. And what I mean by that is I'd kind of built this character. And we all do it to a certain extent, but I'd kind of built this work character. My career had kind of become my self-identity and my self-worth. And I got to a point when, materially I was successful, but I was deeply unfulfilled. And I couldn't ignore that feeling of unfulfillment, of misalignment. I didn't really know what it was, but it was a sense of, look, I'm not happy. I'm not happy, man. And that was a big thing. That's a difficult thing to admit that was a difficult thing to admit to myself, because then that comes with shame. Well, why aren't you happy? You know, I've got an amazing wife. I've got two amazing sons. I'm very grateful for my family. But that reflection of I'm not happy then came with, well, you should be happy. What's the matter with you? So I started to look ahead. I started to think, well, I'm going to get to the end of my life, and am I going to look back with regret? This was to come back to the question. This was the point, actually, when I started to think, am I going to regret never finding out kind of what I was capable of? And that feeling, that fear of regret became louder and louder, and it eclipsed the fear of the unknown. The unknown being, who do I become if I'm not this character I've built? So I stepped away in faith that I would find my path and find my purpose. And here we are.
I love that. There's so many things in there we could pull on. How many people are unhappy with their life but never have the confidence or never actually explore it, but just push it down? That's one thing. I wonder what the correlation is between male and female as well. I would probably guess it's more men that feel that way, feel maybe a little trapped. That's perhaps another thing that we can explore. And then you said something really interesting at the end, which was you kind of stepped into and trusted yourself, that belief it would be all right. So we've kind of got, a lot of things maybe to delve into there. But I guess if we go back to that first question, how many people out there do you think are unhappy because they've created this identity? They are a accountant. Who are you? Oh, I'm an accountant. I'm a physiotherapist. Well, no, you're not. That's your job. Like, what actually? Who are you? What makes you tick? Maybe let's start there. How many people do you think get stuck in that identity of what they do is who they are?
So I thought it was just me. So this is another part of it. I'm only able to share this now because of working with my clients in the coaching space and them sharing their own inner world. I thought it was just me, right? I thought there's something wrong with me. It's like, what's the matter with me? Why aren't I happy? And so I think, to answer the question, I think there's, I don't know numbers, but I think many people are in this position, but because we're kind of given this idea of seeking, find it out there, go out and find it, whatever it is, go and find your purpose, go and achieve, go and make an impact. But the metrics, I think, kind of the conventional metrics, I think are off, and they don't speak to the, I say inner alignment, for want of a better word, but it's that moving with purpose. It's the sense of fulfillment that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing on some level. So I think, the more people I meet, and obviously the more people I coach, I think a lot of people are in this position, and it's not your fault. Everyone's trying to do their best, right? I believe everyone deep down is a good person, trying to do the right thing, trying to get along, and just it's not your fault until you become aware of it. And then you have a choice. You have a choice to do something about it. And that's obviously what we get into in the coaching space.
Yeah, to change that. Because I think society doesn't really want us to challenge the norm or start thinking outside the box. The education system, we start when kids are born and they're curious and they ask questions, why, and then we send people to school and they're told to put their hand down, they're asked if they want to go to the toilet, and they have to get used to sitting in a box and staying there for X amount of hours a day. We beat out all the curiosity and the questions. We shape them just to go and sit in another box for the rest of their life and not ask those deep questions. But that's what you're saying. You realized there was something missing and you asked some powerful questions of yourself.
You've touched on so much here. I think it's such a great point about the school system. We're taught to repeat. We're taught to memorize and repeat. Like you say, we're not taught to question. So we're given a framework to operate within. And curiosity was another thing you said. And I think curiosity is viewed subconsciously. We view it as a childlike trait, something we have to grow out of. Right? Stop asking so many questions. Asking questions is the most powerful thing that we can do, and that's the entire basis of the coaching method, is that you have the answers. I truly believe this. So I feel like, and this is what the book is about, I found something in me that is nothing to do with me. It's not about my story and my journey and my character and Thomas Godfrey. It's about something that's in all of us, and I realize it more and more when I coach people, that it's in all of us, and it's about this innate potential, this untapped potential to create, to consciously create. We've all got it. We've all got inspiration. We can all, to some degree, we can all create our future. But if we're not aware of that in the first place, and if we don't believe that we can consciously create, what we are destined to do is to bring someone else's vision for the future into reality, because the future's coming. So we've either got to be conscious and decide our own future, or we're going to bring someone else's vision into reality.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a choice, haven't we? I remember when I was growing up, and me and my stepdad didn't particularly get along, and he would come back from work every day and complain about it, and I'd say, do something about it. Either accept the fact that pays the bills, it pays for the mortgage, it sends us to Disney World, or do something else. And you go, it's not as easy as that. You don't understand. You're just a kid. And I go, I think I do understand. It's black and white. You either accept the good and do it, or you don't, and you do something different. And I still think that way today.
Yeah, you can choose. You've always got a choice, right? Even saying I don't have a choice
is a choice.
That's the choice. And again, I come back to this idea of we're kind of not aware of this. I don't want to say we're programmed with it, but we're conditioned. I don't think there's necessarily any motive behind this. This is just the way things. This is just the way we're taught to view the world. We're taught about cause and effect. Something happens over here, something happens over here. If I do this, then there's a consequence. If I don't do this, then there's a consequence. So we're given this paradigm from a very, very young age that cause has effect, which is true to some degree. But what it does is, I believe, it conditions us to, when we feel a certain way, we're looking for the cause. Subconsciously, we're looking outside of ourselves for the cause. So we're immediately, without intentionally doing it, we're immediately making ourselves victims, as in we're kind of passengers. We're victims of circumstance. So I believe there's a victim paradigm kind of conditioned into us without us knowing it. It doesn't mean we're victims. It doesn't mean we're kind of saying woe is me, but it means that we don't realize how much we do get to choose.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that was actually one of the comments, wasn't it, that where we got to know each other over LinkedIn, where you'd said, you've always got a choice with how you feel and how you respond to your emotions and the position you're in life. And somebody jumped down your throat and said, it's not as easy as it's not, and kind of proved your point that you just made there. And they've chosen a different path.
We've always got a choice. Yeah, that's right. But it's easy, and this is, it's a scary. Saying we have a choice and fully embodying what that means, that is scary, because it means we have to acknowledge that we are responsible for our own outcomes. I'm responsible for how I think to some degree. I'm responsible to how I feel to some degree, and I'm certainly responsible for how I behave. So sometimes it's easier just to say, "Oh man, I just didn't have a choice."
Yeah, or it's the government's fault. It's the Conservatives' fault. It's the climate's fault. It's my boss's fault. He's got it in. It's my wife's fault, or whatever. Instead of taking that responsibility, it's easily done.
I was doing this for years. So chapter 1 of the book is victim to creator. It's the mindset shift, because I realized I had this victim mindset. I wasn't playing a victim, but I was always looking, subconsciously, I was always looking for excuses, or always looking for reasons. Because I was subconsciously setting my brain the task to find reasons out there somewhere. There's always reasons. There's always a story. There's always a narrative. And it's always very convincing as well. But it's just a story. Like, we're never going to run out of them.
Yeah, I love that. So you moved. You took the plunge. You decided to follow your heart, your alignment, go into this space of helping others, I guess, with those realizations, and then that led on to the book. And you mentioned there the first chapter. So, what are the 10 mindset shifts for the Great Awakening then?
I'm going to have to see if I can remember them now. So the first one was victim to creator, and I believe that's the foundational shift. The second one is excuses to accountability. And again, I was making excuses. I had to, when I got honest with myself, I realized I'm just making excuses all the time. Or rather, I'm never going to run out of excuses. So the shift from excuses to accountability, it's saying I get to choose, but I have to choose. Then it's the shift from motivation to consistency. So I realized I was in this pattern, this daily subconscious pattern. So I decided to hack the pattern. So I thought, right, what can I do? I can do something every single day where I've never, ever got an excuse. I can never say I didn't have time today, right? So I'm playing against my own excuse-making capacity. So I decided to do a 5-minute plank every day. And I've been doing it for 900 odd days. So it's motivation to consistency, because it's on those days that we don't feel motivated, which a lot of days we wake up, we don't feel motivation. That's when consistency is an absolute beast.
Yeah, that discipline to do it even when you don't want to. And the plank's a great example, isn't it? Because exercise is such a great example of where discipline really plays a role, because it's easy to go, I haven't got time to do this, I haven't got time to look after my body. But who do you want to be when you're 80? Do you still want to be capable of playing with the grandchildren, bending down, throwing them around? Or do you want to be the person that can't do any of those things and look back going, wish I'd done exercise. I wish I'd been disciplined.
Spot on, man. And most of the time you don't feel like doing it. And that's the point. That's exactly the point.
Exactly. But I jumped in, sorry. So yeah, we've gone.
Yeah, so that was motivation to
consistency is, yeah.
To consistency. Then it is thinker to observer. So this is all about overthinking. This is about understanding what thoughts really are. This is the idea that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of thought. Just that one subtle shift. I don't have to, I invest my energy in these thought loops. And when we learn to do that, we realize most of our thinking is just repetitive. It's just old patterns going over and over again. So so thinker to observer. And I actually learned this one during the plank, because getting up to 5 minutes, I started at 10 seconds. I increased it by 10 seconds every day. And when I got to about 2 minutes, I knew I was done. I knew my body couldn't do it. I had no core strength. I'd never done anything like it. I knew there was no way I could get to 3 minutes, let alone 5. So I started to observe. I started to become the observer during the plank. I started to observe the pain signals in the body, and I started to observe the mind. I started to observe the voice of the mind. And it just, what the mind does, when we realize that we are the observer and not the activity of the mind, we can then decide which thoughts to invest our energy in. We can become aware of our subconscious thought patterns. We can choose them. We can build new thought patterns, and we can just very consciously decide which thoughts to act upon. So that's thinker to observer.
Yeah, I love that. I love mountain climbing, and I love to see what I'm capable of. I want to do the Explorers Grand Slam, which is the 7 summits in North and South Pole. And on a couple of the mountains in the past, I've got so far, and then the little voice in my head's going, why are you here? You don't do this all of the time. There are people that dedicate their lives to this. Turn around, you're tired. And then I'm like, no, that's just a thought. And I'm going to give myself a new thought. And the thought is, with every step, I say, make Izzy and Lincoln proud, which might give my kids. I say that like 10 times, give myself a new thought pattern, and then that's enough then to get rid of this negative self-talk, and I'm okay to go for another half an hour, 40 minutes, hour, however long it is, just breaking those patterns. And
wow,
hey, it's worked.
That's amazing, man. Thanks for sharing. That's so cool. Make Izzy proud. Make Izzy and
Lincoln.
Make Izzy and Lincoln proud. Yeah, I love it. And the metronomic way of doing it as well, with each step. Yeah, that's wonderful. So yeah, thinker to observer. Distraction to focus is another one. And really, this is just the idea that we can only ever focus on one thing at once. We're in charge of our awareness. We're holding the spotlight of awareness. It's just this conscious awareness idea. But we can only focus at one thing at once. So we can go through a lot of different things. We can have a lot of things on our mind, but in this present moment, there's only one that is actually under the spotlight of our focus. So it's just understanding that idea and learning to use that to leverage that to our advantage, which makes us much more efficient when we realize that. Adding to letting go is another shift. Just this idea that we're always seeking, was trying to add things, when actually a lot of growth comes from just letting go of old habits, letting go of old patterns, just stopping trying to add and realizing that growth comes from letting go. Grow by letting go.
Love that.
Lighten the load.
People are stuck, aren't they? As you say, in the old patterns, focused perhaps on the past, depressive thoughts maybe coming in, or focused on the future with anxious thoughts creeping into their mindset there, instead of letting go of all of that and being focused on the now, this ever present moment of now. That's all we can ever do.
There's a quote that I think it might have been from Alex Hormozy, but I'm not sure. But the quote that sums this up for me, the adding to letting go, is that super successful people don't do anything that you don't do, but you probably do a lot of things that they don't do. So that really resonated. It's just get rid of the noise, man.
Yeah, I love
that. Next shift, reacting to responding. A lot of the time, I hear people use these two interchangeably, reacting and responding, but they couldn't be more different. When we're reacting, we're doing so from an unconscious state, and we're really just not in control of our actions. We're reacting without being aware of it. When we're responding, we're staying conscious. We're just staying present and conscious, and we're making a conscious choice. What is my response? And a lot of the time, no response is absolutely fine. So that shift is very subtle but very profound. And now this is where I'm racking my brain for what the next shifts are. There's the other one is the shift from there to here, and this is the idea that we're always trying to get somewhere, and it's bringing it back to now. Whenever we get wherever we think we're trying to get to, whoever we think we're trying to become, whatever achievement we think we're after, we create this. First of all, we create a gap in our mind. We create this mythical distance between here and there. But whenever we get there, we're going to be here. And it might sound a little bit kind of cliche, but it's experientially, this is it. This is it. Whatever it is, when you get there, it'll be you here and now. So it's just really reinforcing that idea and putting that all in perspective. And what that does is it allows us to, as you say, come back to the present moment, recognize that this is it, the present moment, this is what we are, this is our experience. And there is no there. There is no there. It will be here when whatever it is.
Yeah, I love that. It makes me think of the saying, tomorrow never comes. Like,
right, yeah.
It's always today. Like it's always here. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, man. This is it, right? Yeah, so there to here. And so when I got through the book, when I got this far through the book, I realized that it was all quite kind of self-focused, kind of self-centered, but not in a selfish way, but in a individual's understanding themselves kind of way. You know, all about finding this potential that we all have within us. But at this point in the book, I started to realize there's more to it than just the individual. There's more to it than just understanding ourselves. So shift number 9 is me to we. And for me, what this means is we all have the same awareness within us. We've all got the same source energy within us. When you strip away all the character and all the beliefs and all the stories and everything, when you kind of strip all that away and you come back to that presence, that awareness, whatever that is, whatever that source energy is, I believe we've all got that same source, that same light within us. You can put whatever label you want on it. So that was really, this is a realization that once we begin to understand ourselves, I certainly found once I began to understand myself, I could understand other people. I was much less judgmental about other people because I kind of realized that we're all kind of the same here underneath the stories, underneath the characters. So that was, that's the shift from me to we.
We're all connected at the end of the day, which when we started chatting on LinkedIn, we probably, I must have had tens, if not hundreds of thousands of interactions over the decade or whatever I've been on LinkedIn, but I can probably count on one hand the amount of conversations I've had that have had a more ethereal or spiritual nature, and we were straight into that. Why we connected, and that we, or that source energy, as you said, makes me think of that, and we are all connected on some level. So much of the world today seems to be about labeling things, which creates more division, and we should all realize we're all the same at the end of the day.
Man, spot on. Division and separation. Separation is the illusion. And the labeling thing, so we get conditioned to identify with the labels, and the labels come with a story of division to another label, a story of separation. Yeah. Well put. And then the final one is the shift from knowing to unknowing. And really, this is just the acknowledgement that I don't know anything. And that's amazing. That's liberation. That's the beginning of wisdom, right? I don't know anything. It's all just information that I've invested energy into. So all beliefs, I believe, all beliefs are just ideas. So we kind of build our character around these beliefs, and then we defend our beliefs. And some people would die for their beliefs, but they're just ideas that one day it stopped being an idea and we turned it into a belief, and we internalized it and we carry it around with us every day. But it's just information. So that's the final shift from knowing to unknowing.
Yeah, I like that, because those beliefs are truth to that person, but someone with the opposite belief, it's truth to them as well. No less true just because it's different to that individual.
Right. Beliefs are not truth. The truth is the truth, regardless of.
But to that person, it is the truth.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
To that person, but if there can only be one truth, if there can only be truth, if truth is the only constant, then if two people have got different beliefs, they have no bearing on the truth. The beliefs are an overlay of the truth, right?
Yeah, but they're super powerful. People go to war for it. People fall out over it. We saw during COVID, didn't we? Families fall out over their belief systems. It's a really powerful thing. We've been going to war ever since humanity first set foot on the planet. We seem to have been at war with each other. That's one thing we're really good at, and that again comes down to belief, I suppose. To
beliefs, because we've been conditioned to identify our very sense of self with our beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So we think this is who I am.
Yeah,
but it's not. It's just a story.
Yeah. So when someone comes to you then, and you take them through this process, because we obviously have spoken about this, the spiritual side of things as well, and we both do have our own beliefs. Does that factor into your book? Does it factor into the conversations you have with people?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but it always has to come from the client. So this is the fundamental. This is the foundational. What's the word? I can't think of the right word here, but this is the this is the philosophy of the coach. This is my philosophy of the coaching space, is it has to come from the client. So I'm not prescribing anything. So obviously I have a framework now of 10 shifts, but those shifts are about self-inquiry. So everything has to come about through self-inquiry. So it comes about in its own time. The answer, so I suppose all of my coaching is done through a lens of presence, of coming back to awareness, coming back to awareness of my own thinking. So becoming consciously aware of my own thinking, my own feeling, and my own behavior patterns. And what we do is my client learns to view themselves objectively. So it's almost like taking a step back and getting to see your old patterns without any energy, without any charge, without any judgment, because we can't see it ourselves, because we think it is us. We think the stories are us. So we've all got these stories. I'm not one of those people who. I've never been someone who. And because we tell it on repeat in our subconscious, it's true. But it isn't. It's just a story. So it's about gaining awareness of our own subconscious stories, our own subconscious self-image, and saying that that's okay. No judgment. Just, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. Are these stories serving me? Am I really not one of those people who? And if I could choose, would I be one of those people who?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about gaining awareness. It's about viewing ourselves objectively. It's about remembering we are the observer. So the idea of you're not your thoughts, you're the observer of thought. So it's bringing that out into the coaching space and recognizing these thought patterns for what they are. These thought patterns that say, I'm not good enough. These thought patterns that say I'm stupid because someone told me when I was 6 years old that I was stupid. And it's part of the subconscious narrative. But it's so familiar. We know it, but we don't see it because it's playing on repeat every day. So we think it is us. So when we bring that out in the coaching space, we can just look at it and say, okay, what do you want to do with that? So it's all good. There's no judgment attached to it. It's just a story.
Yeah. And do you find you get people reaching out to you who resonate with your story? So perhaps they're in the corporate world and they know deep down they shouldn't be, or do you have people that are business owners and they feel a little bit lonely and they want to understand themselves a little bit more? Is there a particular demographic that you think you help the most?
Yeah, that's a great question, and the obvious answer is no. There isn't a particular demographic. And and honestly, Ross, I've never felt comfortable with niching into a demographic because I've always felt that this is about it's about self-awareness. It's about understanding ourselves. It's about understanding our story. So I work with men and women. I work with business owners. I work with founders, quite a lot of founders and CEOs. I work with people that are changing careers and reflecting. I work with people that are, just feeling stuck. This is always the word. Man, I'm just stuck. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I've got a successful business. I look after my family. I guess that speaks to my journey, where I was, because that's where I got to. I feel stuck. What am I doing wrong? What do I need to be doing? And you're not doing anything wrong. This is the thing. You're not doing anything wrong. You just can't see what you can't see. So you're just every day you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but it feels too big So there's a sense of feeling stuck. I need to do something. Something has to change, but I don't know where to begin. And the reason it feels so big is because of this subconscious thought pattern that we all have. We all have this loop, this story, and we feel like we're stuck in that story. But the only place it actually exists is in the mind. It's just a story that's on repeat.
Yeah. How does your program work? Is it a 3-month thing, a 12-month thing? Do people dip in and out of it? Do you run retreats? Do people go off and sit in a circle? How does it work?
That's coming. That's part of the vision. Retreats are coming. So at the moment, it's I'm working mostly one-to-one. I've got group coaching coming as well, but it's a 4-month one-to-one journey. And what we do is we meet every week. So 1 week we do a one-to-one coaching call, which is where the deep work is done. It's the coaching space is all about 3 things. It's about reflection. So it's about gaining that awareness, intention, setting intention. Okay, what do I want to do here? What do I want to change? And then action. It's then setting some very, very clear, very simple, very subtle changes. What am I going to do today? What can I do? Just very subtle shifts each time. So 1 week we'll do a video call. The next week we'll do just a quick check-in phone call. And that's just about progress, challenges, reflections. And we do that for 4 months. In between calls, my clients have access to me via Pocket Coach, which is my WhatsApp coaching service. And actually a lot of the progress happens via Pocket Coach, because anytime that anything's happening, they'll drop me a note to say, I've noticed this today, or this has happened today. Something like, so I got something from my client this week on Monday, and he said, this is the first weekend that I didn't lose my SH with my children. This is the first weekend I didn't lose with my children for as long as I can remember. So very subtle shifts like this. We do it over 4 months, 8 shifts over 4 months. And then after that, that's kind of the intensive part of the journey. And then after that, I offer a kind of a continuation of just 1 call and one video call and 1 phone call a month.
Love that. And what amazing feedback as well. That guy to say, I presume it was a guy who didn't lose his shit with his kids.
Didn't lose it. Yeah, that's the first time he can remember, because he's started to view his old patterns. They're just old patterns.
Brilliant. I love that. So if people are listening to this, watching this, and they're like, Thomas is the guy for me, how do they reach out to you? Where do they find you? Where are you most active? How do they buy your book?
My website is tg-coaching.co.uk. Depending on when this goes out, you'll be able to download the book. You'll be able to get the book from there. And I'm also very active on LinkedIn. You can search for me on there, Thomas Godfrey, or I think it's Tom Godfrey Mindset Coach. Go to my website, tg-coaching.co.uk, and there's lots of resources on there. There's lots of information. There's some Pocket Shift on there, some free downloads for your phone, so you can keep some kind of daily mindset shifts that you can access on there as well.
Brilliant. Tom, thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Shall let you carry on with your day and speak to you very soon. Take care.
So have I, Ross. Thanks very much. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Alphagenix Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss next week's episode. For more resources on Alphagenix and men's health, visit alphagenix.co.uk. Until next time.